This is the Bartholomew Town Podcast.
Okay, folks, welcome into another edition of the Bartholomew Town Podcast. It's Bill Bartholomew here with you. Today, we're talking how tech startups can play a significant role in Rhode Island's economic development with Nick Cianfaglione, the founder of Artist Republik. And so Artist Republik is a company that actually kind of ties into what I do with music in quite a significant way. It ostensibly makes it so an independent artist has the ability to release music on channels like Spotify, Apple, whatever, wherever you listen to music, right? As well as a number of other critical tools to help the independent artists get focused and get their songs into a position where they're able to perform well in the digital world and basically help an artist's career grow. So this is a concept that builds upon services provided by other companies in this space like CD Baby and TuneCore, except Artist Republik really takes a look at where people are consuming musical content right now here in 2021 and moving into the rest of the Roaring 20s. So why feature this topic here on the Bartholomew Town Podcast? Well, because Nick is based out of Providence, Rhode Island, and he is a part of a group, if you will, an informal group of entrepreneurs and startups in the tech space and in the entertainment space and a number of other related industries based out of the CIC Wexford building that are bringing, frankly, millions of dollars in venture capital to these new types of ideas. So we get into the operations of Artist Republik and on a very basic level, but then we, more than anything, we pivot to a conversation on how Rhode Island can embrace these sorts of entrepreneurial ventures to formulate at least a significant portion of our economic development and subsequently our identity as a whole. You know, we talk about so many different things that come up when we discuss downtown Providence and building up the city and the state as a whole. And look, there are some great ideas that have been put on the table from a number of different players, but what we discussed today with Nick is sort of pivoting at least a portion of our attention when it comes to economic development to the startup space, to entrepreneurs who can then grow their either micro entities or in some cases mid-sized businesses to larger scale employers, and again, just sort of create identity and traction and ultimately, you know, start bringing more people downtown during the workday, after work, people who are going to restaurants, going to shows, the whole deal there, getting that cycle moving, which is so critical right now to the future of our state. So a fascinating conversation with Nick Cianfaglione here on the Bartholomew Town Podcast. By the way, folks, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Bill Bartholomew for daily digital content. And of course, you can join the Bartholomew Town Podcast Facebook group. I post all kinds of stuff in there, creates some discussion threads, lots of fun. The Bartholomew Town Podcast on social media. Okay, let's get to it. Artist Republik's Nick Cianfaglione here on B-Town, Rhode Island's podcast of record. Okay, so what exactly is Artist Republik? Talking to, you know, the general audience out there that probably doesn't have a great idea about the nuances of independent artist distribution and platforming.
So in the simplest of terms, Artist Republik is basically the record label for the independent artists. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make a centralized platform on the web where for the first time ever, music artists can get everything from production resources to music distribution, to music marketing, to live show booking, to networking with other artists, and basically getting the same value that you would get from signing to a record label or a manager or a booking agent without needing to actually do the first part, which is signing your life away. That's the big goal of Artist Republik. We're really trying to be the first 360 platform that the music industry has ever seen. And you know, and slowly changing the way that independent artists and artists from across the world can grow, manage, and monetize their career.
Yeah, and that's the big term is 360. I think much of the audience knows, probably for those that don't, I am a musician, and that was how I was making my living for a decade. And it's, you know, you're eking it out. There's, you know, I've squatted and paid for things with quarters. You also have the big highs where you have TV placements and movie placements and national magazine reviews. And so everybody's high-fiving and feeling great. It is an ebb and flow. But the one thing that's most important for an independent artist, and I would say an independent creator, small business, is consistency and the ability to hit in different areas on a regular basis. So your platform does just that in theory.
Yeah. And the big thing is we want to help artists understand what resources are there. Because a lot of artists that are starting off don't even understand that these resources are available.
Yep.
Because they are so hidden behind people. And some people may sign to a manager and have no idea what their manager is even doing. They just know they're getting, like, stuff is happening. And the problem is most of the times the manager is just signed up for accounts like us. And so why should there be that gap? If you're going to sign your life away to a manager and then they're just going to go online and do the same exact thing, the only reason you're signing to them is because you didn't take the time to go out there and do that yourself.
Yeah.
And so we really want to make that ecosystem where artists don't have to wonder, like, okay, what do I do next? How do I get started? Where do I produce a song? How do I buy a beat? Okay, I bought a beat. How do I distribute it? How do I get it on Spotify? How do I market it once it's on Spotify? And you know what? My career is growing. I want to book a show. How do I book a show? And that's the big piece for us is really enabling artists to see what resources are available and help them to capitalize on those resources.
Yeah, it used to drive me, potentially enrage me, but sometimes it would be, just sort of like an eye roll where people would say, "Oh, so you're a musician. Like, what do you do all day? Do you just like practice? Like, you guys just like wake up and jam every day? I mean, why don't you just get like a 9-to-5 job and come home and practice after work?" And it's like, well, the independent artist, while you will have a team that you build as you grow, whether that be an agent for booking or potentially a label, although that's becoming far less relevant than ever before, you're spending your day hustling. You're spending your day doing business stuff. And oftentimes we hear artists say, well, I don't want to do any of that. But then they complain that they're not having any success. The business side of things oftentimes can take like 80% of your time. If you're not writing, if you're not recording, or if you're not performing, likely what you should be doing is business. So Artist Republik really makes that. I found as I'm putting out a new record myself and have switched to your platform, I have found that it focuses in on all the contemporary elements that you should be focused on, which is playlisting for Spotify, just essentially reaching the influencers and curators that can grow your music to a larger audience.
Yeah. And that's definitely a big piece with us. And there's a lot more of that coming over the next couple months as we really want to build, a platform that does have the bulk of resources and as you said, shows you what you should be hustling and focusing on.
Yeah.
And we also want to get to the point where we're showing you at what point of your career should you be focusing on those things. Because, if you're just starting out and this is your first record, probably would not suggest playlisting. You're probably not going to get placed. But that really comes back to, okay, let's focus on the production side. Once you hone in the production side and you have a good song, then the next step is, okay, now let's try to get you on placements. And so, artists like to skip, like what you were saying, they like to go to, step 10, and then they get mad when they don't succeed at step 10. And it's like, well, let's take it back to step 1. Have you mastered step 1? Because if you haven't, you're not going to master step 10. And we see that all the time. And I think that's one big piece that we definitely, try to do. And it's probably one of the hardest things about a platform is how do you mass assist someone? But it's definitely a challenge that we've been taking on and hopefully we can master.
Yeah, it's so awesome to see that you've built that toolkit for people. And I see it in podcasting. I learned so much during my time as a musician that directly applies to podcasting for me, not only on the production side, but on it's day 1. I've put out 25 episodes. I'm likely not going to be appearing in the Boston Globe or filling in on WPRO after 25 episodes. But what about Motif Magazine? What about these other, and I don't mean to knock them, but what about these lower easier to access platforms, and focusing in there and chipping away. We're certainly not the NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw over here at Bartholomew Town, but that slow burn growth is something that if you're focusing on your music career in the appropriate way, of course you can get lucky. You can have a song that's undeniably great, undeniably well produced, and get placed in a film and it goes nuclear, like The Shins and Garden State in the early 2000s or something like that. But that slow burn, you've embraced that. And that's what I love about this platform, is that it's like, we're not telling you that when you put out your record that tomorrow morning you're going to get a major label deal, but we are giving you the tools to grow towards whatever your goals are.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference between because there are so many music tech companies in the world right now.
Yeah.
And there's only going to be more. The music industry is about to, right now you're seeing probably what I would say, probably the least amount of companies you will see in the next 10 years. It's going to be a crap shoot for the next 10 years. Because everyone and their brothers, sisters, nephews, cousins, uncles, daughters, dog walkers, sister's brother is going to be coming out with a music tech company, because they're going to hire a couple developers. They're going to think that they can do it, and they're going to launch it. And the problem with that is it's going to lead to a lot of confusion, because people are not going to know which ones to choose. And I always tell people, if a platform promises you or guarantees something, do not sign up for that platform.
Yeah.
There is nothing in music that can be guaranteed. And there is no platform in the world that can guarantee you anything, because the only one that can guarantee you anything is yourself. So if a platform is saying, hey, we guarantee that you're going to get on a playlist, or we guarantee that we're going to get you this many streams, or we guarantee you a placement on Netflix, you're not getting that.
Definitely
Because
not.
the only thing that's getting that is your content. And so, those things are not legit. Like, I see it all the time with PR reps reaching out to me.
Oh God, yeah.
Hey, we can guarantee you in Forbes. And then you ask for an example, and it's always so funny. And it's like, here in the United States, and then like the Forbes article is in like Australia.
Right.
You're like, okay. And it literally says at the top, like, press release buried at the bottom of nowhere. And you're like, so literally all this is I can put Forbes on my website and that's it.
Yes.
What's the value in that? You know what I mean? Like, anybody who's legit is going to look at that article and be like, this person paid $3,000 for this. It's nothing great. Where if you just hire a PR rep and they don't guarantee anything, but you work with them and have the resources to do it, and you put out good content, then it's going to work. And it's the same thing with Artist Republic. It's the same thing with your music career. If you actually have the good content, then platforms like us can help you get there, but we can also help you perfect that content.
Definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's such a refreshing perspective, because there are so many hucksters. There's so many people that say, and you see it in podcasting, you see it in music, you see it everywhere, where I get emails like every day, like, oh, we'll grow your podcast audience to 1 million subscribers. And it's like, no, you won't. So even if you force feed it to people, I don't care. I want people to listen to as many episodes as they like to, and like embrace the brand and the character. I don't really even care how many people do, as long as people do. And your platform really, really embraces the idea that it's, number one, the quality of the content is the most important thing. Number two, whichever step you're at in your career, go quadruple down in that moment and don't skip steps and expect to be rewarded with something that you don't deserve. One of the best musicians that I ever played with, somebody who's had enormous success, major label deals, stadium tours, this, that, and the other, someone who played guitar with me. When we first started working together, he called me up and he was like, I don't think I have to tell you this, but I want to let you know, nobody is ever going to come along and save you. There's nobody that shows up at a venue. There's nobody that says, hey, let's go, kid, let's go for a ride. And let's make you, this isn't the Rat Pack or something like that in 1949. It's all about you on that slow burn. And that's what is going to be, I think, in multiple industries, what happens in the 2020s.
And I will say that, a quick interjection. Sometimes there are those people that show up in your life, in your music career, and they want to help, and they have a plan in their head. And just because you don't know it or you don't see it, do not cross that person out.
That's right.
Because I will safely say this in the most modest way possible. There are people that crossed me out in my music career when I just started in music and live shows and everything. And 4.5 years later, they definitely want to get in touch with me, and they don't have the ability to get in touch with me anymore.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, there are guys that me and them were nobodies 4 or 5 years ago. And now with my work and everything that I've been able to do, I've been able to bring some of them along and kind of help use my success to help their careers. And it's crazy because it goes back to like literally one of my buddies who is behind Elite Reviews, which is a platform on ours platform. He's a music artist. And I booked him for a show when I was a junior in high school. And he was probably 20 at the time. I was 17, I think, when I was booked his concert. And I joke with him because he called me over the summer. We always stay close. And he's like, hey, Nick, I have an idea for a dope ass platform. I don't have the ability to build it myself. Can we build it into Artist Republik? And I said, yeah. And after we built it, I sat back, we got the Forbes placement and we got all these other placements for it. And I texted him and I said, this is the perfect example of why you never cross someone out in your life.
Yeah.
Because me not crossing you out, you just gave me probably one of the best ideas for our platform, and you not crossing me out enabled you to get someone to entirely build a web platform for you completely for free.
Yeah.
And I always say that to people is just because someone may not seem of value today does not mean they are not going to be of value in 10 years. And you better make sure that bridge is not burned, because if it is, you will massively regret that.
Definitely.
Because, yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that. All right. So when we come back from the break, I want to talk about Rhode Island, because that is the fertile ground here. What is going on in Rhode Island? We've got the Wexford building, the CIC Innovation Hub. We've got a chance for these types of digital oriented, I think somewhat revolutionary types of platforms to be headquartered in Rhode Island. Are people looking at it in terms of state government? Are we embracing it? We'll get to that right after this quick break. This is Rhode Island's podcast of record, the Bartholomew Town Podcast on ripodcast.com, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to shows.
If you're planning to get a COVID-19 vaccine, there are 3 ways to make that happen in Rhode Island. You can choose a state-run vaccination site, a regional or community-based clinic, or certain pharmacy locations. To learn more about all of these options, start at c19vaccineri.org. There, you'll find all the information and links you need to make a decision and to schedule an appointment. That's c19vaccineri.org.
What has Rhode Island done for you, and how has it sort of given you an opportunity to build Artist Republik?
So I've always loved Rhode Island. I mean, so I kind of fell in love with Rhode Island when I came up here for school. I went to Bryant University in Northern Rhode Island, and quickly kind of fell in love with the entrepreneurial ecosystem. I think Rhode Island for me was kind of the same reason I chose kind of the entrepreneurship department at Bryant. Is it's underdogs. And everyone here is hungry and gritty, but at the same time, everyone here is so respectful and like family. It's the most odd vibe, but it's so amazing at the same time. There's 7 people on this floor that all run startups, and we're all friends. We're all friends. We go out, we have beers together, we go to bonfires, like we do all this stuff together. And it's non-competitive at all. We pass around VCs like, hey, yeah, I talked to this guy. He wasn't in it for my company, but he may be interested in your company. So let me lead an intro. And, there's so much stuff here that's going on. I will say, I haven't really been able to see the politics around here a lot. I'm still kind of getting into that and getting, acquainted with it. From my early view, and I can be, obviously swayed, a lot of the change and progress in Rhode Island seems to be coming from the businesses and the individuals instead of the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the most part, it's been extremely successful. And so I don't think that should change. I think, the politicians are kind of doing their bureaucratic thing, and everyone else is kind of say, okay, you know what? This is our city. We're just going to go do whatever the hell we want. And you guys can all trust that we're just going to make the right decision.
Yeah.
And it's extremely intriguing. And I think there's a lot of potential here. And for years, Rhode Island has really missed out. I found out the other day, I didn't even know this, that Airbnb was started in Rhode Island and then they left. There's so much potential here, and traditionally companies start here and then they leave. And I think the cool thing is now you're seeing companies that are starting here and staying here. And that's going to be a massive impact to the Rhode Island ecosystem.
Yes, I completely agree. And competition is it's a beautiful thing when it works. It functions the way you just described. When you have this sort of cutthroat, like, oh, okay, well, we're going to try to take out, this other guy, and we're going to try to, this woman over here, we're going to try to cut her legs out from under her so we can get an advantage. That's one form of competition. But what you're describing, bouncing ideas and just creating an ecosystem where you just feel it. There's something that happens that is intangible. It's part of that 50% of things that humans can't comprehend. And it's in the air. There's some kind of vibe. There's some kind of magic. Rhode Island has a chance to do that. We can do it in spaces like your space. We can do it in spaces like the blue economy, what we're seeing with, full disclosure, B-Town sponsor, Revolution Wind, Orsted. And we're seeing it in media. You look at the Boston Globe, Rhode Island, and what they've been able to do on a digital platform, the rise of interest in this show, and, just generally people saying, let's embrace moving forward. Let's embrace where we're going in terms of technology, in terms of entrepreneurship. And I agree that it does seem to come more so from the populace and the business sector than it does from those in power. Fortunately, now Governor Dan McKee has been a big spearheader of entrepreneurs. He had his entrepreneur challenge. So I think we're in a good space right now, a good moment for this type of development.
Yeah, I'm with that. And I think I was talking to someone the other day. I think the biggest thing that Rhode Island needs to embrace is its tech companies.
Yes.
And it needs to really, really openly embrace it.
Yes.
Because, the tech companies are not winning Mass Challenge Rhode Island. They're not winning the Rhode Island business competition. They are not getting the government grants. They're not doing any of that stuff because they're not green and they're not socially, most of them are not socially responsible. Yep. But the reality is people are not going to have startups in Rhode Island if they don't realize they're here. And the only reason I realized they were here was because I got into almost an underground ecosystem of other startups. And I was like, oh, they're here. I would have never put Rhode Island on my radar if I didn't get into that ecosystem. And that, I think, is one problem that Rhode Island needs to jump over. And if we together are able to jump over that hurdle and we're able to fully openly embrace the tech companies that are here and show there are tech companies here that are raising hundreds of millions of dollars combined across all these tech companies. And I actually said that the other day. You have 10 or 12 startups in or around CIC right now that are 6 months away from their Series A's. With that, the average Series A check is $10 million, which means between 12 people in Rhode Island, you have $120 million in economic impact over the next 18 months. So the fact that the tech companies are not being seen just shows like that is the big circle that needs to gen, because $120 million in economic impact, it's light compared to Textron and CES and all these other big companies, but it brings a lot of new jobs. We close the Series A, we're bringing 4 new people to Rhode Island. But past 10 companies, that's 40 new people to Rhode Island.
Yep.
And it continues to snowball and spiral. And you want to make a world where Airbnb doesn't leave. You want to make a world where these tech companies are growing here, they're staying here, they're building here, and they're reinvesting here. And I think that's the one of the best things right now that needs to pivot. You know, why does everyone think, when they think tech startups, they think Silicon Valley, Austin, Texas, or Nashville?
Yeah, or Chattanooga, Tennessee, right? Yeah.
Chattanooga, yeah, stuff like that. But if you look at the statistics, Rhode Island had the most hiring for tech development and tech jobs over the past 18 months.
Yep.
So why is that not being embraced? I don't know. Because we have the perfect opportunity right now to say, if you are a tech founder, come to the next Silicon Valley 10 years before it's Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's 10 times cheaper for office space and everything. The ecosystem here is 10 times better. People are nicer. People are more fun. There are better food. You know, there's so much. Yeah, there's better beaches. You can go to an island. You can go to mansion tours, and you can do it all 20 minutes from your office.
Yeah.
So, but I think people genuinely think like there's not tech companies here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it should be brought up on a regular basis when we're talking about revitalizing downtown Providence. Yeah, I mean, some of the architectural, they're going to put a water sprinkler in Kennedy Plaza or whatever it is. All that stuff is nice, but we need to curate a culture here. And that includes everyone from all different sectors, all different backgrounds. There's no reason why, when we talk about social justice and uplifting, that we can't embrace the micro businesses that are near. I'm in the southern portion of the city, and there's plenty of ideas and micro businesses here.
Exactly.
Uplifted alongside these tech companies that are getting huge seed money, so they can get huge seed money. And it's like, that's, unless we're going to make the full out switch to a different economic system, if we're going to play in this sandbox, that's where the social impact is really going to happen in a meaningful way.
Yeah, exactly. And the funding is a key part, because, every single, 99% of businesses in America are small businesses, and small businesses are the backbone of this country. And more importantly, I have never been in a state where small businesses are more impactful in the backbone of anywhere. Small businesses in Rhode Island are absolutely freaking amazing. I have met so many small business owners, and I love every single one of them. Yeah. With that being said, though, you have to remember, like I said, the economic impact of it. A small business is going to generate millions of dollars over the course of 5 or 10 years, millions and millions of dollars, but it's going to be a consistent flow. Some kid in college who comes up with the next self-clotting gauze and decides to manufacture in Rhode Island brings billions in 5 years.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's like, I was watching a breakdown of Ocean Drive in Ocean Park or whatever it is in San Francisco.
Yep.
Each naval carrier that, when it parks there, brings, I think they were saying like $300,000 or $700,000 in new revenue to the town per month. Each carrier docking there.
Yeah.
And so right now they have 5 carriers docked there. Every small business right now is raking in it. And so the reality is, one of my favorite breakfast places to go. Actually, I go to 3. I go to Caspian, I go to Amy's, and I go to Bagel Gourmet.
Sure.
But now that we're here, if I hire 20 more employees, I guarantee you Amy's, Caspian, or Bagel Gourmet just got 10 new customers.
Yeah.
And it's the ecosystem of these companies growing so quickly, getting funding, bringing employees, and having so much money to spend because they're getting so much money in influx from investors, that I don't think Rhode Island has really seen that before through and through. A lot of investors that I've been talking to recently, like, just moved here in the past 6 months, because they're like, oh, my family was from here, or, oh, I was from here originally and I moved away and now I'm retired, so I'm back and I want to invest. And now they're all back. And, it is an ecosystem. Get that money into the companies will get it into their employees. The employers will be moved here. The employees will then go flaunt around the city.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, yeah, this is so refreshing to hear, and I think that it's going to become more and more clear as we move along in the next couple of years that that's a sector that we need to embrace. Last question, and it's a quick one. You see yourself staying in Rhode Island? Yes or no?
Yes.
There it is. Awesome. Great. So I'm going to go out on that. Yes. One question: the pronunciation of your last name. Oh,
yes. I'll actually send it to you phonetically.
Okay. Cool.
So you have it.
Yeah.
But it's super easy compared to what it looks like. It's Cianfaglione.
Screenshot that right now. Cianfaglione. Beautiful. Awesome. This was great, man. I actually have a co-working membership over at CIC, so I haven't really been there that much. I have a 3,000 square foot space in South Providence that we've got a stage in here and a bunch of stuff. So, I'd love to connect some time. Absolutely.
We're here. This is I can show a little bit right now. I'm in our lounge right now. So this is our lounge.
Nice.
Then this is heading out here. This is the whole office.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Jacob just got in, and yeah. So then I have the classic corner office of a CEO.
Yeah, there you go. You got to do it.
So, but yeah, man, no, that was awesome. Glad to be on my first Rhode Island podcast.
Yeah, this has got a good audience, and it has a bit of a national pulse. I'm building out other stuff too. I'm doing a national music podcast that we've taped probably a half dozen episodes. I do a PBS TV show, so we're doing a lot here. I produce a lot of other podcasts, so I feel like there's definitely an opportunity for more stuff together, and I'd love to. Like I said, I'll pop by the next time I'm at the Wexford.
No, definitely keep me posted.
Yeah, will do for sure.
And like I said, I'm here. We're in Rhode Island. So, there we go. Yeah, I'm here. I'm in Rhode Island, man. And, as of right now, we're not planning on leaving anytime soon. And
awesome.
Definitely aiming to hopefully shake things up with, I don't know. I'm guessing you probably know of him. Do you know Adam from Pangea? He owns the.
Yep. I know of him at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like me and Adam are insanely close, and Adam's not leaving anytime soon either. And so like me and him are always the ones that are talking together of like, hey, he just closed a $1.5 million funding round. We just closed a $1.5 million funding round, 2 months ago. You have Intiscare that just closed 1.6, and you have all these companies that are sitting here, and so far there's $20 million between us.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what's next?
Right.
And it's all crazy. What is that impact going to bring? And more importantly, what can we do with that impact? Like, I definitely biasly hire from Brian.
Sure. Brian's great. Yeah.
I'm going to recruit like a mofo through Brian.
Definitely.
But then I'm probably going to be, besides for CVS, Textron, a couple of other companies, and Fidelity, I'm going to be one of the companies that's going to be hiring from Brian, keeping kids in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Same thing with Adam. He's going to hire he loves Bryant. He's going to hire from Bryant and Brown.
Yeah.
So
that's the play.
But yeah, man.
That's how it goes. Awesome, man. Well,
let me know. Let me know if you need anything on the platform. I'm pumped for V2 to come out. And yeah, man, I mean, thanks 100% for having me on. This was awesome.
I think it was great.
I apologize. I'm definitely running on 2 hours of sleep, and my allergies are murdering me.
Oh, no worries. Me too. Absolutely no
I
problem.
was gonna say, I hope you couldn't notice it.
No problem. I know it was great. So
it's been nonstop traveling. Last week I was in Atlantic City. I drove back last night, got back at 1 a.m. And then I'm here for 2 days, and tomorrow I leave for Nashville.
Yeah, there you go.
Nashville for a week. Then I come back and I leave for Maine. And it's all investors want to meet you in person now.
Yep.
now that vaccinations are rolled out, masks are gone, we're like, let's have in-person meetings.
Yep, exactly. Good thing we have TF Green. Thank you.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good point. Except Nashville, I got to fly out of Logan.
Oh, really? There was a great Nashville flight out of Green. It was 6:10 a.m. departure, Tuesdays, Thursdays. That was my jam for a while. But they probably dropped in the pandemic, I'm sure. So
it may have dropped in the pandemic. I'm also leaving on Wednesday.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm wondering if that's why. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm actually like genuinely curious now. PVD to Nashville. I think it's like BNA. You said Thursday?
Yeah, it was Tuesday, Thursday. This is when
Is it a connecting flight?
Nope, it was direct. We would just go in and out. Be having breakfast at 9:15 or something like that, It must. I could totally see
it connecting. They must have lost it.
Yeah, that's too bad. That was a sick flight.
Yeah, no, it isn't. That wasn't probably a sick flight.
No.
This one is the quickest and cheapest one is a United from here to Newark and then to Newark.
Of course. Yep.
That's the classic. They fly you to Newark and then out. But
no thanks.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, it was awesome being on. Come join anytime. The more we can all get everyone together from Rhode Island, I'm down.
Absolutely.
The more we can all make an impact and do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said from the start, we're all on the same team here. I definitely want to, all be on the same team and all working together and make sure, everyone's in sync and see what we can fucking do.
I'm with you. Absolutely. So
cool, man.
I appreciate it. I got to go run. I got to go meet Sheldon Whitehouse now. Talk about the gun violence in Providence. So the opposite end of the spectrum. So
that seems like fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Actually, super intrigued. I will definitely listen to that one.
Yeah. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, man.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Rhode Island's podcast of record, B-Town.
At HealthSource RI for Employers, we provide access to health insurance to more than 1,100 local businesses and nonprofits, and 96% of them renew through us every year. Maybe it's our choice of 19 different health plans, our 10 years of customizing solutions, or our one local team of dedicated experts helping employers find quality health insurance. See how our numbers stack up for you. Learn more at healthsourceri.com/employers.